Hello and welcome to another edition of Fix My Flood, presented to you by Simmons Flooring and Restoration. And we are excited to get going again today. And I've got the owner and CEO. Well, actually, his wife is the CEO. If we're going to be real honest, we know exactly who the CEO is. Scott Galden with Simmons. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing great, Chris. How are you today?
I'm doing just peachy. It's a good thing that I like the 100-degree heat because it is here to stay.
Yes.
Just got to making your job much easier, I'm sure. Everybody's hot and bothered.
Yes.
So anyway, listen, we're going to be talking about hardwood floors. And I know this is something that comes up a ton, and there's a lot of confusion. Yes. So as we do here on Ask the Experts, it's real obvious that I know you're an expert. I'm definitely not. But the gentleman that's going to be joining us today, David Whitehurst, is definitely an expert. So tell us a little bit about David and what we're going to be doing today.
Well, first off, I wanted to mention that, the whole purpose of this podcast is to help educate our customers when they're making buying decisions, whether they buy from Simmons Floorcovering or somebody else. So if you're receiving the link to this podcast, it's probably because you're in the market for hardwood floors. You probably have a lot of questions, and we wanted to link up our customers with industry experts to help them learn more about the decisions that they're making. We want you to make a good decision when it's all said and done. And to me, you can ask lots of people. You can ask your neighbor, you can ask a salesperson, you can ask the guy in the big box store that used to be in plumbing last week about hardwood floors, or you can ask somebody that literally buys millions of square feet of hardwood flooring every year. And that's who we have on our show today. David Whitehurst joins us. He is an executive with the Adlita Corporation. They're a large wood flooring distributor in Texas and Arkansas and all points in between. And they've been a great vendor for us. But David is the person that coordinates all of their wood flooring purchases, that he helps to decide what it is they're going to provide with retailers. And David, welcome to our program. So glad to have you as part of our podcast today.
Yeah, thanks, guys. I think this is such a great idea to help educate consumers. There's, a lot of misconceptions about a lot of things. And, in today's age, there's so much information on the internet, but not all of it is, always the best information. So this is a great opportunity, and thanks for letting me be a part of it.
You bet. Do you mind just giving a little bit about your bio and your background so people can know a little bit about, why you are an expert at this?
Sure. So I've been in the industry my whole life. Once I got in it, I was told you could never get out, which is so true. So I actually started in hardwood at the old school Bruce Hardwood, which was it was the oldest hardwood flooring manufacturer in the world. And, I worked for those guys until they were acquired by Armstrong. And then I was there 20 years at Armstrong. The good thing is I was in a lot of different capacities. I called on independent retail. I called on the builder channel. I was able to call on the box stores, distribution. And it just gave me a lot of access to a lot of the stuff that's going on in the market in all different areas to kind of get some expertise. And then after that, I decided distribution seemed to be the best option for me. So I was able to go to Adlita, which you mentioned earlier is a great distributor. And we handle all kinds of products. And right now I'm their director of products. So I'm handling what products we're going to launch, how we're going to bring them to market, how we're going to position them, what vendors to deal with. And, like you said, we travel the world and actually go to the facilities and create products that make sense for our markets. So that's kind of got me, but I'm at heart, I'm an old hardwood guy. So I love that this is about wood. So
that's great. Well, David, we have a lot of customers that come into the store after they've done some research on Google or they've talked to somebody in a national retailer, and there's a lot of confusion out there about wood floors. And maybe the first thing we can do is kind of dispel some of the misconceptions that are out there about hardwood floors. We have a lot of customers that come in with the idea that solid wood floors are the way to go. And while we do solid wood floors, I think they're a good decision. It doesn't necessarily make that the best decision in every situation. So could you maybe explain some of the differences between engineered wood floor and solid wood floor?
Sure. I think the biggest misconception is thicker is better. So everyone used to think, oh my God, I got a solid piece of wood. It's so much more wood, therefore it's going to perform better. The origin of solid wood was actually, it was flooring. It was what actually connected the subfloor of the house, and it was a structural part of the house, and you walked on it, and that was the need of why it needed to be 3/4 of an inch thick, because it was doing a purpose other than just looking good on your floor.
Sure.
What I like to tell people is today we're selling floor covering. We don't need the structural aspect of that anymore. And, we live in the South here, and the majority of our market is slab market anyway. But a lot of the reasons that people had solid flooring, you don't need today. So the other misconception I think about that is people hear engineered wood and they think, hey, that's not real wood. They might confuse that with laminate or something else. But engineered wood was actually made specifically for a concrete market. And what it is it's just cross plies of the same wood. They're just laid at 90-degree angles that help create dimensional stability to actually make a floor that performs better. It will hold up a little bit better to moisture. It'll hold up a little bit better to the seasonal changes. It's going to do some things that the solid floor can't do. And it's going to be a lot easier floor to live on just because of how it's constructionally made and, the situations that it go through in a living condition in your house.
Yeah. I think that's important to point out is that you have to match the product to the house that you live in. And if you live in a house in Texas, it's built on a slab concrete, and it's a lot easier and more efficient to install an engineered hardwood floor in our environment than it is the solid wood floor. And it typically performs a little bit better over time, I think.
I do think so. And another key thing you can do, on a solid floor, even if it's pre-finished, the solid wood is just it's a more porous product. It's going to take the product a little bit deeper. An engineered floor will perform better. And with, today's finishes and things that you can do in a factory, you can get a 25-year finish warranty, 50-year finish warranty. There's some that are lifetime finish warranties. So especially if you're considering engineered versus a job site solid installation, engineered is a much, much better option for our market. So we always try to promote that. And that's actually what everything we focus on driving in the market here are good engineered floors, because you can do things that you just can't do on a solid product.
Sure. Well, and like you were talking about finishes, we do the site finish projects. And in a situation like that, we can sometimes get 2 or 3 coats of polyurethane on the engineered or on a solid wood floor. Where on an engineered floor that's finished in a factory, you tell me, David, but sometimes 7, 8 coats of polyurethane, so you just have a better finish when it's all finished.
You do. And the other thing we like to tell people is you're not really walking on the floor anymore, you're walking on the finish. So the thickness of the wood underneath the finish at some point almost becomes irrelevant unless you are trying to refinish something, which you shouldn't need to do because of the strength of those finishes you're talking about. The other thing is there are between 6, 8, sometimes 10 different layers of aluminum oxide or urethane finish. But the big difference is they're UV cured. So they're cured by ultraviolet light, which makes them very, very dense and much more hard. And you can't do that on a job site. You just can't get that condition onto a job site. So the finishes today are just much better than they used to be. And, you can control the gloss levels. Low gloss will help you have a little bit more of a floor that'll look like it'll hold up a little bit better than a high gloss, which some of the typical older floors, on the solids used to be a little bit more shiny and stuff. But
sure. Well, and I also like to point out, especially in a remodel situation, an engineered wood floor is going to be a 3/8 to 1/2 inch thick. There's some that are a little bit thicker than that on the market today. But in order to install solid wood floor in a remodel, you're going to raise your floor about 1.5 inches. So that means doors have to be cut, maybe changing out front doors. The height of your cabinets is going to feel different, where with the engineered product, the height's going to be pretty much what you're used to now. And it just doesn't require as many modifications as the solid wood floor requires in a remodel project.
Yeah, I totally agree. The houses are built for that. The other thing, if you're doing a remodel, there's a timepiece that's involved in that. Nobody likes to go through a remodel, I don't think.
No.
So, engineered, like you said, it's more of a substitution. A lot of times solid floors, there's a lot more that goes involved. You do have to shoot the plywood into the concrete to have something to shoot the solid floor into. And again, that will have to cause everything to raise whatever 3/4 of an inch for the plywood plus another, whatever the thickness of the product is, which does sometimes create a problem in door jams and some of your appliances and stuff around the house.
Yeah.
So
and baseboards, you have to then account for every baseboard in the house needs to have some kind of modification to it at that point.
Yeah. And the other thing is a lot of times if you're in a space that, you have a transition to a different floor, you're going to have some kind of large transition piece, whether it's a reducer or a very large T-mold, because you're going to have that extended profile now where the solid floor was. Replacing the engineered. So something else to think about.
Well, David, let's ask this question. And Chris, I know you've got the questions, but So if I'm a customer that's looking at engineered wood flooring today, what are some of the features that I should be looking for? We've talked about things that really aren't important, but what are the things that are important that I should be looking for and making sure I have in my, when I'm making that decision to buy a product?
I think the best thing is obviously independent retail. We're a huge fan of independent retail. I think you guys are specialty people that understand the industry. You understand your products. You have a relationship with the manufacturers and the vendors you're buying from. So you've got a little bit of that story that you can share with your customers yourself, or any independent retailer can, because they've got a track record or history with the company to know if it's somebody that's been in business a while, someone that's going to stand behind their product, someone that is creating quality products. You can a lot of times tell just by looking at the product or the sample itself how it's made. And then you start thinking things about, what kind of warranty does it offer? What kind of, can you get access to the manufacturer themselves? Is this somebody that just dropped off a floor and, if something goes wrong, you have no way to get a hold of them? So brand presence is part of that. That could be a national brand. It could be a regional brand. It could even be a local brand. But I like to look at some of those things that have been in the market for a while to make sure that you're dealing with somebody that's, this isn't their first rodeo. And, another thing to look for sometimes is that they don't just offer one product. Sometimes a lot of people come to the market and they have, just one product they try to sell to try to get into the market. But usually people that have a larger portfolio have a little more expertise in the industry and are going to have a little bit more preparation and testing of products before they bring them to market.
Yeah. What about like the finishes or, the manufacturing process? Is there anything that would tip off a customer that says this would be a good product for me, or this may not be able to meet my needs?
I guess there's two ways to look at the question. One is the product itself, if it's right for the environment that they're trying to put it in their home. But, again, sometimes I think you need to focus on like I said, the warranty issue. You want to make sure that it's a quality product, that they stand behind the product. You can find all that information. There's a little bit of research you can always do on the internet to find that stuff. But I always like to say the best source is the retailer, because you've got the most access in the history of dealing with the products you're selling to be able to say, hey, we've been selling this product for X amount of years. We haven't had any problems, or, we had a problem one time and the manufacturer was right there behind us and we were hand in hand to take care of the customer. So I think that's longevity and history in the market is something I like to look at, because there are a lot of people entering the market. We talk about a lot of stuff coming from Asia these days. There's some things to be wary of. You just need to do your research.
I appreciate you bringing that up, because a lot of times I'll have people that come into my store and they'll say, well, this product has a lifetime warranty and your product has a 50-year warranty, so this must obviously be a better product.
Yeah.
And the response is if that company that's offering a lifetime warranty, it doesn't look like they're going to be in business next year, or they've been sued by the federal government on several occasions, that might not be the best warranty. You're looking for a manufacturer or a distributor that really stands behind it. And I can truly say that anytime I've had an issue, Adlita has stood behind the products that we've sold. And that's why I'm confident when I sell your products. I'm confident when I can tell the customer, these guys, it's a 50-year warranty and you can expect they're going to be able to stand behind it. They've got the longevity to be able to do that.
Yeah, that's the trick, for some of these companies that have been in business 1 or 2 years to offer 50. I even heard 100-year warranty, which maybe we're all going to live longer. But, a lot of that's just marketing pieces. People can write anything on a piece of paper. You're obviously going to need to focus on the quality of the product and the partner that you're dealing with to have a good feeling about what you're offering to your customers.
Okay. Let's talk a minute about what are some of the more popular trends in wood floors these days. I know several years ago, everything was gray this and gray that, and then scrape this and scrape that,
I got some gray right there. But the trend is pretty cool. A lot of the stuff does come from the West Coast. It just matters on how long it takes to get across the country. And if this was, 10 years ago, kind of like you said, everything we could do was find as much hickory as we could find and scrape it. And, the widths were usually 2 1/4 and 3 1/4 to start. And then you kind of got to a 5-inch, which was wide plank back then. But, over the last 2 or 3 years, there's really been a transformation in that kind of look in our market. And everything is going wider. So I would say when you say wider, you're probably 6.5, maybe 6.5 inches or wider. There's some products that are 9 inches wide. You obviously want longer boards. But the biggest thing probably for us in this market is the color change. We were typically darks. We call them Texas browns. We had some of the things that had a little bit of a red tint to it, but we've really lightened things up. Gray was our first step to that, like you said, a few years ago. But now we're kind of going towards those natural tones, a lot of taupes, a lot of browns, not quite the coastal colors of the whites and stuff that are still brand new kind of trends for more coastal areas. But definitely we're seeing a lightening of the market. And the other thing is species. You know, we talked about everything used to pretty much be hickory and you scraped it as much as you could. Now we're focusing on French white oak or European white oak. It's a cleaner grain. And what they actually do to it is they wire brush it. So they think of kind of an old car wash, but with a little metal brush, and they lightly brush that, and it hollows out some of the grain and creates a really pretty floor. It's still slightly distressed, so it helps to be livable. You know, live on it. If you drop something or scratch something, it'll mask some of that. But the hottest trend right now, I would say, is a wire brushed French oak. And there's so many of them, and they're just really pretty floors, and it's a nice difference than kind of all the darks we've kind of had in the market. There is one unique thing that's pretty cool that people are starting to do, which is another benefit of engineered floors, is there's things you can do to engineered floors you just can't do to a solid floor or a job site. And one of them is it's called smoking it, which is basically a thermal treatment. And if you think back to science class, under the microscope, the wood under the microscope's a lot of little holes. And so when they harvest that tree, you know, that tree was feeding itself somewhere during the process as it was harvested. So there's sugars going up and down that tree as it feeds itself. They take those logs and they put them into basically ovens, and they have a recipe that to get this color, it's 250 degrees for 2 hours and 12 minutes, or it's 300 degrees for 4 hours. But what happens is as those sugars that were in that tree, as they heat up, they caramelize and basically harden. So when they take that wood out of the oven and they go to manufacture it and stain it, the stain goes in the porous parts of the wood differently than it does in those little pockets that have been thermally treated, to where it gives a very pretty floor. There's a lot of color movement, and it just makes like I said, a really, really pretty floor. And it helps with that enhancement of the wire brushing and the oak and the medium to natural colors. It's a real neat treatment. So I would say that's probably the hottest trend right now, is a 7-inch wide French oak.
Yep, we see that not just through what you guys offer but every other distributor that's walking through our door is carrying a very, very similar product to be able to show the customers right now. And in fact, I knew that it had arrived when my wife walked into my store, went directly to one of those products and says, "This is what we're putting in our house," and that's exactly it, you know. And I like your emphasis on the lighter colors, because we are definitely seeing lighter colors than we saw, 10 or 15 years ago, when what they would do is it seems like the builders are putting the darkest stain they possibly could on a floor, basically to cover up imperfections in the wood, I think. And now they're saying, hey, let's use lighter colors and let the beauty of the wood really come out a little bit better. So hopefully everybody else is seeing that and what they're wanting.
Yeah, it's a real neat trend. I mean, obviously we're getting a lot of people from the West Coast to this part of the country as well, so it's sped that up a little bit, but it's very active right now.
Great. One of the big issues that we're seeing David is supply issues.
Yeah.
I know you're laughing and I'm laughing, because the only other response would be to cry about what's happening in our industry, along with all the other industries that are out there right now. But obviously supply is a big issue with projects right now. What are you guys seeing in the marketplace? And obviously, what are you doing to try to address some of the supply issues that you're seeing?
I mean, obviously it's a huge challenge, not just within our industry, but, washing machines, fence posts, everything. It's been a real mess. If we look at hardwood specifically, which is, I think, what we're talking about today, the benefit for Adlita is about 3 years ago, we exited any manufacturing facilities in the country of China. We just wanted to not produce there. It was before the Trump tariff and things like that. So it helped us get out of there. So we have a little bit of an advantage, and that when this mass pileup of things stacking up with production and shipping, we were out of there a little bit early. So we are still feeling the effect. What I tell people is we're probably not as bad off. We are not out of full collections of products. We might be out of a color here or there and have to transition to a new color, but we're in a little bit better position to start. The other thing is, I mean, it is very difficult. I mean, shipping charges in the last 18 months have gone up almost 1,000%. So it's a real difficult challenge to deal with. And it's like you said, you gotta laugh about it. Otherwise, you just sit at home crying all day.
Yeah.
But we believe as a company, the product is going to be important. So we're willing to pay those increased shipping costs because we feel at some point you're going to need to have inventory. You're going to have supply. Consumers are going to want product. So we'd rather have a happy consumer and maybe pay a little bit more for the product to get it here to make sure that we can deliver products to them and our customers like yourself. But it is a day-to-day. We've been told it's probably going to be rough till the end of the year. Mm-hmm. So we have a lot on order. We actually have a record amount of dollars on order right now. So we've got a lot coming. We just need to get it here.
One of the things I've talked with customers about is don't fall in love with a product until we've had a chance to check stock on that product.
Yeah.
And if you're in the middle of the buying process, they find something that they really are leaning toward or like, the sooner you can let us know that that's the direction you're going in, we can check to make sure that the product is available. And if it is, we can either put it on hold or we can, kind of get you ready for the purchase. But boy, the worst thing we want to do is have you narrow everything down, find the exact product that you like, and then find out that it's going to be 3 months before you can get it. So a note to our consumers is check that out. Check that before you get too far down the pipeline of making your decision.
Yeah.
This is always one of my favorites. Why should I buy flooring from a specialty retailer? There's a lot of options out there. And of course, there's a lot of big box stores that are out in the market right now. But what benefit could a customer have by buying from a retailer like Simmons or one of the other specialty retailers that's in the market?
I'm a huge proponent of specialty retail. I mean, you made a comment earlier that the box stores do a good job of advertising and they have some products. They used to have them in stock, maybe not so much anymore with the supply chain disruptions. But if you need a full start to finish service, you need to go to a specialty retailer. I mean, obviously you're going to get someone that obviously has your best interests in mind, which is probably key. To start, you're also going to get an expert, a functional expert, someone that's been in the industry. They understand the products. We mentioned earlier, someone that has a history with those exact products. A lot of times in some of those other stores, it's somebody that might not have that kind of flooring experience, or like you said, it could be someone in a different department that's just coming over and filling in for a second, which is probably not the best situation. Flooring is it's not a tricky purchase, but there are some questions you need to ask consumers to make sure you're selling them the right product for the right lifestyle. Someone has 17 dogs and 4 children, a pine wood floor probably is not the best option for them. And there's a lot of that qualification that needs to go in on the front end, where I just believe a specialty retailer is going to give you that service from that very first minute until they're very there at the end when the floor is installed and everything's complete. Also, if you were to have an issue, you have someone, you have a relationship that you can go contact with, that you've been with you through this whole process, rather than just trying to go to somewhere and find someone to get out to your house and take care of an issue you might have. So I'm a huge proponent of specialty retail. I think that's they're functional experts, which is what's key to being a good partner for a consumer.
Great. Thanks for those comments, David. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Especially you, Scott.
I will take flattery every day of the week.
Yep.
Okay, it's not a problem. What the final question? Of course, let's say that the wood floor is in right now. A lot of consumers miss the maintenance step in terms of, hey, these are the things you need to do to make sure that your wood floor is going to last over the years and make sure that it's taken care of. What are some maintenance tips and tricks that people ought to be have in mind about caring for their wood floors?
Yeah. The first thing I do is always tell them what not to do. Do not mop your floors. So the enemy of wood floors is water. So a lot of people, their parents might have done it or their grandparents might have done it, but the first thing you want to do is you want to use a proper product. So, each manufacturer probably recommends a floor care cleaner. They might even make their own. There's a couple big companies that are generic companies that most manufacturers are also on board with them. But the key is that cleaners from those companies have the right mixture of water to cleaning chemicals to where you're not going to do anything to damage your floor. And that's the key of what you want to do. You can easy daily maintenance or weekly maintenance, just lightly sweep it. Have some walk-off mats so you're not walking little rocks or pebbles onto your floor that could damage it, and then use a proper cleaner. And then the things you want to stay away from, obviously, are wet mopping your floor. And then there's some cleaners out there that are actually polishes. They'll tell you that it's going to renew your floor or bring it back to life. Be careful on those. Talk to the manufacturer, because a lot of those are actually waxes or things that go on there that actually become maintenance things. They get on your floor and they're very hard to get off, and they don't typically do what you think they're going to do. It's best to just stick with those pre-made cleaners. And again, a light sweeping once a week or something, and have some walk-off mats at your doors so you're not walking trash into your floor.
I think the consumer has to have in their mind that they're not maintaining the wood. The wood is covered by a polyurethane.
Yeah.
And you have to think in terms of, what do I need to do to keep this finish clean? And that's where you don't want to put anything on it but a proper cleaner, because it'll leave a haze or a finish on that polyurethane that's hard to get off at that point. So,
very hard to get off, yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, David, we sure appreciate you being part of our program today, and wish it'd lead to all the success in the world. And again, we hope that our consumers and our customers were able to get a real good education about what it's going to take to buy the right flooring for them.
Yeah, this has been great. Thanks again for the opportunity. It's been a lot of fun.
Thank you.
Man, this has been amazing. We've covered a ton of ground in a very short period of time. David, how can people get a hold of you? And this is your chance to plug your company just a little bit. We'd like people to visit your website and check you guys out.
We're at adlita.com. We just celebrated our 100th year in business. We're a privately owned company, and it's just been a great place to interact with the market. We've recently expanded into Missouri, Nebraska, and Kansas. So we're in a growth mode company that's been around over 100 years. So, if we ever decide to do that 100-year warranty, I think we might have been one of the ones that can earn that. But, we've got a great website.
Around to honor it at that point.
Well, that's the trick. Don't tell anybody. We won't be here. But check out the website. We obviously have a lot of people. There's one of our guys on there, Ira. He's been there 41 years. It's we take a lot of pride in the products we bring to the market, and we're really relationship. We love working with our customers and try to provide solutions for everybody. So,
Scott, how about you?
SimmonsFloors.com, and our office number is 940-566-6169. We've got a lot of folks and project managers that are available to help answer all your questions about your wood flooring needs.
Awesome, guys. It's always fun to get together and do this. David, blessings on you, my friend. Stay cool and continue to handle all this amazing business. And for everybody that's joined us today, we want to thank you for taking some time to be with us. Check us out. Please share this with your friends and family. Like us on Facebook, all that kind of great social stuff. Thanks so much, and God bless.